Alright. We are doing something special today. Here we go. She's in the work in progress, but we will definitely have her upgraded soon. What you doing? All right. Dr. Shaw wanted me to be the finest weapon possible. RPK wanted me to be the strongest doll. Andrew wanted me to become a DeFi member. Now, your orders, please. What do you want of me? I never thought you'd choose to form a covenant with me. As it is, there are still many areas where I could improve, so, in the coming days, I hope you'll continue to guide me. IFA with Voymastina, March 12, 2026. Portrait Frame Last Magazine. The bullets she fires at your enemies are the full measure of all the kindness she can give you. A Voymastina theme attachment. Beyond her specs are other things that deserve your attention. Oh, I bet so. Pretty cool. Oh, a little traces of purple or magenta to it. Let's see. The Wolf's Eye tracking target. The Wolf's Eye system has automatically activated to ensure the target's health and safety. And last but not least, the Horror Covenant. Alright, be right back. Okay, maybe it won't take me as long as I thought it would be. It's taking me longer to raise her affinity level than it is actually just fighting. That's so fucking funny. Hell yeah, brother. Look at that. Alright, let's begin the archive. Again, I voice over everything, so if you do not like this, then I apologize. But I usually upload these because the really old ones, or the older videos that you see before the global release, they are actually not official translations. So I like to put mine up here and read it aloud. Journal number 1. Unit 1 of the Wolfpack T-Doll Research Project, directed by StateSec and funded by a certain individual of high standing in the URNC over a decade ago. She holds the title of the World's Strongest Doll. As Samantha Shaw had hoped, Voymastina was a most excellent weapon, executing a large number of anti-terrorism missions soon after she was put into action. With unmatched results, she took the spotlight with a string of dazzling performances, garnering widespread acclaim for the Wolfpack project. Equipped with the Wolf's Eye, an integrated data collection and analysis system developed by Samantha Shaw, Voymastina is capable of grasping every available piece of information within her vision. Its permanently active nature means that whenever Voymastina's eyes are open, a veritable ocean of information continually pours into her neural cloud. The vast majority of her computing power is used for processing this data. Undoubtedly, such functionality was a fine asset for a weapon. However, neither Shaw nor Voymastina herself came to realize this system's hidden inherent flaws. Record 2. Like other dolls, Voymastina is rich in emotion. This truth, as objective as it was unadmitted by those around her for quite some time. Driven by Shaw's expectations and, more importantly, the influence of the Wolf Eyes system, whose design prioritized functionality, Voymastina's emotions have remained repressed for extended periods. Frankly speaking, the Wolf's Eye demanded the majority of her neural cloud's computing power, thus leaving her bereft of the impetus that would be needed to drive her emotional simulators. Subjectively, though, her creator, Samantha Shaw, also wished for her to almost never display emotion. Shaw defined Voymastina as the ultimate weapon, a definition that bled into others' perception of her. Voymastina readily accepted this interpretation and worked to realize it, viewing displays of emotions as weakness and even rejecting the existence of her emotions altogether. She applied every notion that defined a weapon to herself. In the end, this course of action yielded results that surprised both Voymastina herself and her creator. After being defeated by AK-12 in a one-on-one duel with the principle of overcoming strength with weakness, Voymastina committed herself to studying combat techniques with fervor, even greatly changing her combat style in the process. In her initial mission outings out of her faith in her own armor, Voymastina did not consider any damage short of fatal damage as any loss at all. She would barge to the enemy formation like an armored engine, making a beeline for nothing but her target. She would call these methods efficient, though they had cost the amassed repair bills that bore a great weight on the state sec. After her showdown with AK-12, she found value in moving judiciously. Even against a foe far weaker than herself, she would take a far more measured approach, making sure to minimize her own losses. In her revenge battle against Gray, this difference in her was of particular note, having led her to defeat that shrewd and powerful adversary with only minor damage to her exterior plating. If not for the obstructive wave tactics Gray employed later, she would have been confident in her ability to end the encounter unharmed. Oh dear, she was already terrifying enough. Now she's gone and grown a brain, too. If she was like this from the very beginning, I wouldn't have suggested that duel with her in a million years. I'd wager she'll never lose to anyone else ever again. AK-12. Record 4. Voymastina does not care for her appearance, or cares not for her appearance. This comes as a little surprise to most, considering the impression that she always gives off. If not for her previous leaders and logistics crew's insistence, chances are that she wouldn't even bother to mend her damaged synthetic skin during her 10 years of wandering the Yellow Zone. To prevent the scenario of Voymastina taking after an Aegis visual style, Alva took up the duty of taking care of her appearance, including maintaining Voymastina's synthetic skin and a variety of her other processes that were completely meaningless by Voymastina standards, such as doing her hair. Voymastina even displayed a rare instance of resistance toward this initially. She typically paid no mind to what Alva did with her, but she found herself unsettled by this without being able to find a proper reason as to why. This didn't continue for long, though. On a certain day, she took the initiative of putting forward a request that shocked Alva. She had never received a single bit of feedback or suggestions from Voymastina about the matter of looks aside from this instance. You said you had a hairstyle in mind, right? Well, what might it be? Braids. Alva quickly understood what Voymastina meant. She couldn't put a finger on what exactly that feeling was, just like how she wouldn't know just what was going through Voymastina's head at the sight of that unfamiliar hairstyle in the mirror again. But from then on, that hairstyle would be Voymastina's once more. That's true, she does have braids here. Envy. That word comes from a doll Voymastina would rather not speak of. As they would describe it, Voymastina harbors the emotion named envy towards AK-12, another member of Task Force DeFi. Many people attribute the cause of this to the intense emotions and obsession felt by Voymastina after her defeat in a privately arranged bout, considering her pride in herself as an ultimate weapon. Or perhaps they're but mere inanities, spewed by a doll well used to bantering deliriously, spoken as nothing more than taunts. Alpha gradually grew to understand what those words truly meant after working as Voymastina's partner for many years, however. Envy casts the shadow of loneliness. The Wolf's Eye grants Voymastina unmatched prowess in combat, but also strips her of her right to come to grips with the world conventionally. There was not a second individual who viewed the world in the same way she did, and Voymastina instead felt an incomprehensible loneliness, even if she herself didn't realize it. For that exact reason, we must imagine Voymastina expectant when she first heard of AK-12's existence, looking forward to the birth of her only kin. This yearning vanished when AK-12 appeared before her eyes. What Voymastina despised was not AK-12's spontaneous disposition or unique command style, but her unique eyes, furnished with features that Voymastina did not have. By simply closing her eyes, AK-12 could observe the world as any other dolls do, only activating the Wolf's Eye system when her eyes are open. She was Voymastina's kin, yet she was different. She couldn't feel the same loneliness, nor did she bear the same expectations to be a weapon. All of this felt like a betrayal to Voymastina. This is why, as of now, her animosity toward AK-12 has largely faded. She no longer feels she feels lonely no longer, and her compulsion toward AK-12 has naturally disappeared. Even if the doll that eased the loneliness is no longer with her, she has no lack of trusted companions by her side who understand her. Record 6. Voymastina is rarely seen without the Sinbreaker nowadays, always bringing this piece of equipment that is nothing short of a lethal weapon. Even so, she hasn't let up on her training, which piqued my curiosity. The Sinbreaker is no conventional armor. When I asked her out of pure curiosity, I had expected an answer like, it's not good to rely on equipment too much and ignore one's own strength. I never foresaw an answer as straightforward as the one I received. Unlike the Sinner, the Sinbreaker was designed for dolls from the moment of its conception. Put more precisely, it was designed only for me. She speaks calmly as she wipes down the Sinbreaker's chassis. It is capable of covering allies, but has next to no protection for the pilot. That is why I still carry a firearm when operating it. Handling it requires significant strength, and a human inside would be turned into nothing but minced meat. An insufficiently strong doll would be torn apart as well. Alva can manage 3 minutes inside. I had no idea it was so terrifying. I can't help but be amazed. By the way, is this another work of Dr. Shaw's? Why was something this impressive kept hidden away for so long? Same for when your frame was upgraded. A great wall stands between design on paper and in reality. Voymastina answers me coolly. There existed a series of challenges with material science when I was first being created. The one who solved those problems was Dr. Persica. Strength cannot be attained by simply fusing sturdy materials with expensive instruments. Even the purest steel can only be compressed so much. Oh, I get it. I nod. I can score 100 points with 1 million Sardis gold, but even with 100 million, I would not be able to score 101. The task for Dr. Shaw and the others was how they would surpass the limits in place. While designing me, Dr. Shaw's passion for her work came to its peak, and many of her concepts were retained as possible future modifications and upgrades for me. To Dr. Shaw, AK-15, though considered the strongest at the time, was only the result of compromise after compromise, a far cry from the creation she had envisioned. The Sinbreaker was one of Shaw's leftovers. Nearly took over most of what Shaw left behind, and the Sinbreaker was the one deemed the most replicable and beneficial to me among them. It took Nila quite some time, but the project was eventually a success. So that's how it came to be. I nod, lightly caressing the powerful armor. If Shaw were here, she would have made Voymastina even more powerful, wouldn't she? That was the commander. If Shaw were still here, she would have made Voymastina even more powerful, wouldn't she? The thought naturally came to me as our conversation reached this point. I knew well that those words should never be spoken. Voymastina's hand stopped wiping. Dr. Shaw has done all that she can. As if she had perfectly seen through me or come to the same thought, she lightly mutters as she looks up at the Sinbreaker with absolute calm on her face. The rest should be left to me. And the rest of us too, I smiled, picking up the other towel in the bucket and began work alongside her. How long do you reckon I would last if I sat down in there? No such thing will take place. I will not allow it. Her expression is even more grave than usual. She's still no good at making jokes. Voymastina is fond of more stimulating foods. To be accurate, she doesn't eat very often at all, but when there is no need for her to be out and about, she occasionally appears in the public area and eats in the same space as others. At times like these, one gains the rare opportunity to find out about her personal tastes. To start from the drinks she partakes in most, she rarely opts for Springfield signature tea and coffee, drinking high-proof vodka almost all the time. Before downing it, she tends to add pepper and accompanies it with raw ginger if the circumstances allow. I once tasted her brew and remember nothing of what came after, save for the resolve to never taste it again. On top of her unique preferences in drinks, Voymastina is also rather avant-garde in her choice of food. She enjoys eating bones. To be more accurate, she enjoys harder foods with sharp flavors. Once at a meal gathering, she silently placed the remaining bones from the meal into her mouth, chewing them into bits with loud crunches and swallowing them without a single hint of emotion on her face. It was such a disconcerting image that if Helena or Mei Ling were present, chances were they would have been scared to the point of tears. That was far from the most disturbing instance, too. Oh, hey! I was practicing my cooking and accidentally made too much. Since you're here, you might as well help me finish all of this. Those words from Macchiato made me immediately regret walking into the public area. I couldn't help be curious, though. Macchiato's leaps and bounds in the culinary arts have been observed by many, but most of the time she knows well how potent her work is. She rarely presents me with her non-military small-scale lethal weapons. For her to approach me like so, she must have been at least a little confident that time. Catching onto what's going through my head, Macchiato places her hands on her hips, discontent. She raises a thumb, gesturing behind her. See? She's already going at it. See? She's already going at it and she's fine. Don't underestimate my abilities, okay? I look in the direction she's pointing to find Voymastina, gulping down the food on the plate before her in large bites. She didn't look to be under duress, not that anyone on the Elmo could have placed her under duress, so could the food this time really not be that bad? Naively coming to such conclusions, I had a taste, only to be hauled off immediately to the emergency room by Covenant. After I came to, I learned that Macchiato was regularly bouncing off the walls. Thankfully, the food was not toxic enough to do any real damage. Florence and Covenant initially wanted to dispose of the dangerous substance as medical professionals, only to find that Voymastina had already consumed all of it, and looked as though she wanted more. After that incident, everyone, and myself included, gained a newfound reverence for Voymastina. Oh yeah, stimulating food. Record 8. Once, Voymastina stopped maintaining a massive distance with everyone. To be exact, once Krolik picked the bullet before everyone else and approached her, many individuals became interested in sparring with her. Voymastina displayed no aversion to this, and rather it became the only group activity she had any degree of enthusiasm for. While passing by the training room, I often see her training against other dolls. Her opponents would often be Krolik, Klukai, and Zhongzhou. Occasionally Groza, Zhongyu, and Fei took part as well. Even Alva herself would join in the action from time to time, and in those cases the other dolls would stand by and observe. I've been part of the audience a few times too. The pressure she exerts on her opponent is absolute, though it's different in nature from her presence on the battlefield. She never exerts any more force than would be necessary for training, and even so, no one has managed to take a round off her yet. I happened to spot her finishing up a spar with Krolik one day. Ugh, no way that's happening! Krolik tumbles to the ground, catching her breath. You've got to be some kind of monster, right? Voymastina only returns to a neutral stance, remaining silent. Watching as she moves without a single wasted motion, the soldier in me that had long lain dormant was stirred awake. Voymastina, I say without thinking it through, could I join in too? The training room immediately falls silent as Krolik and the dolls in the audience look at me with disbelief. Hey, Commander, are you sure about this? Krolik puts a palm to her face. I'm sure she'll hold back, but yes. Voymastina nods. I wave my hand, reassuring Krolik, it'll be fine. Voymastina won't hit me too hard. As much as everyone trusted Voymastina not to do anything that would hurt me, they all still looked concerned, but it's not like that could be helped. Even I began to wonder if I was just being silly after the impulse had worn off. We stood a pace in the center of the training room facing each other. Voymastina remains motionless while I let out a long breath. Speaking earnestly, in terms of CQB technique, I would be proficient among humans, but nowhere near the finest in the world. Even so, having practiced for as long as I did, I had some faith in myself, but what would faith do against an iron bastion before me? Swish! I make the first move, trying to take the initiative. The very next moment, I find myself landing on the ground backside first. That hurts. For once, Voymastina appears a little caught off guard. She remained motionless, but her movements were no doubt frantic. She helps me up, quickly assessing the state of my body, most likely worried for my bones. Apologies, I placed too much force on that. It's fine. I'm only a human after all. I rub my ass with a smile on my face. Rather, you did pretty well not making it any worse for me. Voymastina stares at me as in thought. I lament my poor decision made on a whim, preparing to leave and vacate the training room so they can continue. Voymastina places a hand on my shoulder. Voymastina? What is it? You're leaving many openings in your movements. I can help you train. No, wait, I'll be alright. It was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. Hold on, help me, Krolik. What came after could be summarized as a piece of good news and a piece of bad news. The bad news is that no help came. Whether they wanted to simply watch me or were confident that Voymastina wouldn't hurt me, I do not know, but the dolls only observed and a crowd even formed as time went on. The good news is that, well, Voymastina's training was highly effective. The extra piece of bad news, my ass hurts. An even further piece of bad news, Voymastina said she would be designating training regimens for me regularly. Watching as I clutch my rear with a pained expression, Voymastina slowly closes her eyes. The stronger you are, the more likely you are to come back alive. I couldn't quite catch what she was muttering, but whenever she suggested again that she would help me train, I gladly accepted. Aww. That's so fun. Bared Edge 1. It has been some time since the two DeFi members have formally joined the Elmo. I must admit that their presence here has introduced a particularly curious type of vitality, almost magical in its intensity. It's a welcome change to the Elmo amidst the endless stretches of sand. At least, that's the case for Alva. The afternoon sun flits through the Zakero's crystal-clear windows, leaving warm mottled patches of light on the floor. The smell of Springfield's fresh out-of-the-oven orange zest cookies spreads through the air, blending with the aroma of coffee and casting a shroud of leisure over the whole room. With a cup of coffee in my hand, I observe the commotion in the cafe from the bar corner. Wow, that's amazing, Miss Alva! I've only ever seen that maneuver in the textbooks. How do you manage to stay balanced at that angle? Take it slowly, Miss Covenant. The key here is shifting your center of gravity. See? Like this. Exert force with the waist and bring your body around. Use more than just your legs. You'll be able to do it too with some practice. Good work with the training, Miss Alva. Please, have a taste of my new cookies. I added some orange zest for flavor. Ah, a refreshing flavor, Miss Springfield. Just the right amount of sugar to go with this tea. Thank you. Alva quickly discarded her DeFi-affiliated veil of mystery. With her temperate disposition and caring side, she quickly mixed right in with everyone on the Elmo. I often see her communicating with Coffney and the others about various techniques or discussing combinations of desserts and tea with Springfield in her cafe. Whatever it was, she would often have an at-ease smile that I haven't seen in quite some time on her face. I finally let out a sigh of relief, seeing that she's integrated with the others. However, the other side hasn't gone as smoothly. Rather, it hasn't made any progress at all. I move my attention away from the hubbub of the group, turning to a seat in the cafe's corner. Voymastina just sits there, fully upright like a sheathed blade. She's here as well, but only because Alva more or less dragged her here. Completely failing to fit into the lively atmosphere, she sits by her lonesome. Before her sits a bottle of vodka, a container of peppers, and a cup with a ball of ice within. She continues in silence, taking in cup after cup of peppered spirits, not even allowing Springfield to assist her in pouring the drink and communicating with absolutely no one. Power drinker! She is akin to an off spot of color in the mellow environs, obstinately and silently closing herself from the rest of the world around her. Alva can't help but smile bitterly at the sight. This wasn't the first time she had tried to get Voymastina integrated into the Elmos community. It seems that this attempt has once again ended in failure. No one's gonna try today either, even though Miss Alva asked us. It's not like I'm scared. It's just that I can understand how she wouldn't want to be disturbed, being an elite doll myself. The manager tried a few times earlier. But we can't establish any meaningful communication. A single-sided conversation accomplishes nothing. What a shame. How did you two turn out so different despite being in the same squad? Voymastina rarely communicates with anyone outside of Alva herself. Even if someone approaches her, she'll only respond with the bare minimum. Maybe Miss Voymastina hates us? No, I don't think that's the case. Yes, that's the one thing I can guarantee. Voymastina absolutely harbors no contempt or dislike for anyone present. She just isn't very good at dealing with anyone outside of DeFi. If she were on a mission, she might communicate more, but when it comes to daily life on the Elmo, I would imagine she's finding the adjustment rather difficult. Is that the reason you sought me out? Yes. That bitter smile appears to be glued to Alva's face today. All of us are gathered here talking about Voymastina's affairs, and she's sitting right over there. Even without intending to listen in on our discussion, I'm sure she's heard her name several times already. That being the case, though, as everyone can see, she's thoroughly uninterested. Oh yeah, if I ever saw everyone gathered around not knowing what to talk about, I'd come over immediately. Even more so if I found out that I was the topic at hand, I'd be itching to find out if someone was talking smack about me or something. In the past decade or so, we've rarely, if ever, encountered an issue like this. There have been some assignments where we've had to communicate with various different folks like she does, but Voymastina and I were semi-excluded from the rest of the world, essentially. Most of our time was spent drifting through the yellow zones with some combat here and there. Our only opportunities to communicate are with familiar faces like Kevin, Mona, Anna, and I would be the one handling the talking. But now things are different, right? Yes. We're still a ways removed from everyone here who really has the Elmo as their home, but we've made it our base of operations as well. Much of our downtime is spent here. Frankly, we're getting used to normal life here. By all rights, this should be something good, but good does not mean easy to adjust to. Like a veteran struggling to adjust to normal life with PTSD. And so we must leave this to you. I understand. Voymastina is one of our comrades as well. It's my responsibility to handle this. Though, I look toward Voymastina sitting in a small distance away thinking. What does she herself think of all this? After some deep thought, I find Voymastina in the training room the next morning. She seems to be at the end of a cycle of intense simulated exercises, standing before the weapon racks and meticulously cleaning the weapon in her hands with a cloth. Even though she always takes with her that mobile armor that's taller than me onto missions, one that admittedly brings back some terrible memories, she still keeps up with her own training. Voymastina? She pauses in her wiping motion, turning towards me. In her crimson pupils are absolute calm, bereft of a single hint of emotion. A mission directive, Commander? No, actually. The opposite, in fact. Everyone in the Elmo has a day off today, no missions. So, I wanted to ask a private favor of you. Please advise. She appears a little confused by the concept of a private favor, but still does not hesitate to obey. I look at her, sighing deep down. Looks like getting her to understand entertainment and relaxation will have to be done through the medium of a mission, a notion she fully understands. Follow me. She doesn't inquire further, with an I instead of an E, with an E instead of an I, proficiently returning the rifle to its rack and following me with footsteps as precise as a metronome's. I bring her to the Zucchero Cafe. The place is even livelier than it was yesterday. Covenant has found a set of a TTRPG from somewhere, excitedly telling the tale of a magnificent sweeping adventure to Choha, Krolik, and the others gathered around the table. As you open the dungeon's gate, its hinges moving for the first time in more than a millennium. The scent of sulfur and decay assaults your senses. In the depths of the darkness inside, a pair of bright red eyes are honed straight in on you. So, adventurers, what to be? I'm gonna cast Divine Barrier on myself, and I'll loudly ask it, what are you looking at, huh? Are you a paladin or a hooligan? I'm gonna sneak behind it and set up a sneak attack. Ooh, imaginative. Stealth check, Krolik. I clear my throat, grabbing their attention. Looks like you guys are having fun. Oh, it's you, Commander. Want to join in? You see, Commander, I'm one hell of a game master. Didn't you insist that we called you Dungeon Master earlier? Of course. I've brought a new player with me, too. I turn aside, introducing Voymastina to everybody. The previously lively atmosphere at the table seems to falter for a second. For my sake, though, Covenant immediately smiles brightly in the way of an expert salesman would. Of course. Everyone's welcome. Are you here to experience the joy of role-playing too, Miss Voymastina? Here, a character sheet. A chance to create a character like no other. Oh. Voymastina? Will you play with us? Truth be told, when I pose the question, I'm rather nervous. Thankfully, Voymastina only remains silent for a moment instead of rejecting me outright. She accepts the sheet and pencil, silently sitting down and beginning to seriously contemplate the thick rules book as if studying something. You can, reference my sheet here. If there's anything you don't get, you can ask me. What class do you want to play? Should I tell you how to make a good build? Should we coordinate the backstories? We're just about to enter the dungeon, so we could make something up to inject her in. The three halted in their tracks to varying degrees when Voymastina first appeared, but they all began to put up welcoming fronts. Of course, part of it is because I notified them of the situation beforehand. Rather than becoming nervous at the sight of her even with previous warning, this speaks volumes about their perception of Voymastina. Huh. The results seem alright, though. The others are enthusiastically trying to get in touch with her, trying to befriend her. The three present, Covenant, Krolik, and Choha, all begin to display the outgoing parts of their personalities, trying to get Voymastina involved. Voymastina doesn't appear to resist their efforts very much. At least she sits down to join the game. I had thought this would be a good start to things. I thought that she was only missing a chance to communicate with everyone. I soon discover how ridiculously wrong I am. If the problem were that simple, then Ava would have solved it long ago. Then, Miss Voymastina, what class will your character be? We have a courageous warrior, a mysterious caster, and I perused their comparative tables in Addendum 7 of the rules of the book. Not considering boosts from special equipment, a dual-wielding thief has the most expected DPR among the available initial options. I'll go with this. Alright. A very efficient option. What about your character's backstory, then? The backstory is purely for reference, not necessarily for gameplay, and does not affect the character's strength. I've opted to skip it. As the game progresses, Voymastina's unique style of playing begins to stick out more and more. As Choha ponders how her character will react and respond in the moment, Voymastina has already kicked open the door, beginning the encounter. Out of the combat encounters, Voymastina remains silent for every social encounter that necessitates conversation or other communication, her only in-character words being, "Follow me." Finally, when Voymastina requests to attempt to steal from the merchant, Choha is the first to throw away her character's sheet. I can't do it anymore. I can't convince myself to not bash her head in anymore. With all this ignoring my companion's foul deeds I've done, no matter how much Covenant pads it out, I would have been branded an Oathbreaker ages ago. So many of the key NPCs are dead too. All of the clues have gone cold. Commander, the plot I've written, I don't think I can continue. That's an expression on Covenant I have not seen in a long time. The formerly lively game ends on a dismal note, and a certain coldness fills the air. All of my maneuvering cannot prevent the downward spiral. No matter how passionate Crow like Choha and Kofni are, all they can do under these circumstances is pack up and leave with awkward expressions on their face. After they all find excuses to leave, only Voymastina and I are left in the room. Sorry, Commander. At the sight, even Voymastina can understand that she messed something up, apologizing to me. There's no regret in her voice, but not because her apology is half-hearted, it's just that she treats it more like submitting a failed mission report. All of my actions were within the boundaries of the game and aimed towards achieving the final goal of victory. I had no intention of ruining the others' fun, but they didn't seem to think so. You're not very interested in fixing up relations with everyone, are you? Correct. She admits it quickly, in no unclear terms. I only participated in this activity to assist you with the favor. It appears that I have not been able to be of help. I have failed in my duty. I finally realized why she couldn't fit into the Elmo. It wasn't for lack of opportunity to break the ice. It's because she never intended to fit in the first place. No matter what, I managed to figure one thing out. My understanding of Voymastina is far too lacking. After realizing that conventional methods won't solve the problem with Voymastina, I decided to take a step back, learning in depth about her problems before working on a solution. If Voymastina simply prefers to be by her lonesome, unbothered by others, then I would respect that way of life and refrain from forcing her to improve relations with others. But considering that this is a request from Alva, I don't think that she would be so terribly wrong on matters related to Voymastina, so chances are that there is something I don't understand just quite yet. Those were the conclusions I came to after that day. I made some further preparations, or rather a preemptive investigation. I see what you mean now. What did you learn from your investigation? On a day off, I observed her while remaining undetected, at least I would hope so. Indeed, it was an entire day of observation. The results of the day certainly shocked me. Did she do anything that surprised you? No, nothing at all. That's what shocked me. Her routine is precise, regulated, but hollow to a terrifying degree. Alva's expression doesn't change a single bit. One would think that she knows this from the very beginning. At 6 a.m. on the dot, she awoke from the capsule in her dormitory. The moment her systems are ready, she linked up to the Elmo's central database, checking her daily tasks. After ensuring that no tasks had been assigned, she didn't proceed to the canteen or go to the public area to relax like the others do. She headed straight for the training grounds. For 4 whole hours, she just proceeded with intense firing and CQB training. When noon came, she still did not go to the canteen, instead heading to the garage. For the span of 3 hours, she proceeded to maintain, clean, and test the Sinbreaker inside and out. Afterwards, she returned to her dorm without partaking in a single recreational activity. She didn't even turn on the lights in her dorm. She simply leaned into a corner of the room, closing her eyes, and entered standby mode. This continued until 6 a.m. the following day, at which the cycle repeated. Ulrid helped me with continuing the observations. I didn't see the rest myself, but I believe it to be true. No meals, no chatter, no hobbies, not a single unnecessary action. She only exists in 2 states, mission and standby. What happened that day first made me think Voymastina didn't want to be too closely linked to the Elmo's dolls, but now I see that she simply doesn't have any habits that we consider to be human on a fundamental level. It does fit the impression she's always given off, but I never imagined it was to this extent. I once said that you were very similar to a human based on my evaluations. I didn't think your partner, on the other hand, would be on the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Voymastina is almost certainly the individual that fits the human stereotype of dolls the most. Can't help but wonder if she's genuinely emotionless. But given your years as her partner, you'd know if that were really the case. That's where the problem lies. If I understood you one bit, you would have tried to change her a long time ago. For her to be still the way she is, either your attempts ended in failure, or there's just simply something I'm not aware of yet. If the former was true, then it would be beyond my power. If you, the person she's the most familiar with, couldn't manage it over the course of a decade, then I would never think myself capable of changing her. So, the conclusion I've arrived at is that Voymastina has only shown us what she wants us to see. She has to be hiding something, and that's the access point I need. If she has something to hide, there must be an inherent emotion that underlies that. Dolls don't have things to hide, do they? Alva stands silent for some time, slowly raising her head and smiling unexpectedly. I knew I was right to leave this matter with you, Commander. You're pretty close to the truth. There is a saying that humans use, namely, to untie a knot, you must find who tied it. That would summarize the situation we're currently facing. What do you mean? Her ever so slightly mysterious smile confused me somewhat. Bared Edge 3. The tabletop game orchestrated by the commander with the goal of encouraging team cohesion has ended on an unhappy note. As a precautionary measure, we notified the others beforehand to refrain from coming to the cafe for the time being. This was to create the best environment possible for recreation with Miss Voymastina. Unfortunately, the results leave plenty to be desired. As Krolik, Coffney, and Choha took their leave with varying degrees of frustration and dejection on their faces, I stood behind the bar wiping a coffee mug that had just been cleaned. From this position, details of little import in any way, shape, or form to others often reveal themselves to me. And so, when the sight of Miss Voymastina, that figure which cares precious little for her surroundings in the solitary corner, comes into my sight yet another time, I can't help but sigh soundlessly deep down. If even the commander's approach is a failure, I can't imagine that there's anything we can do. At least we can communicate with Alva. Isn't that good enough? Oh, that's no good. It's our responsibility to share the commander's worries. And even if Miss Alva is more approachable and pleasant, Miss Voymastina is still part of us here. If it's possible, I'd certainly like to get along with her. Is that even possible? I only make favorable bets. Well, I at least think we can win. Whatever. Just don't stir too much trouble. You saying that to the manager? Never thought the day would come. Shut up! I hope so desperately that everything will go well. That evening, I made sure to prepare some extra ingredients, then made for the garage by myself. Unsurprisingly, I found her there. Placing her weight upon the gigantic armor she calls Sinbreaker, she rests with her eyes closed in low-power standby. As if she were one with the frigid machine of war next to her, the picture painted before me is one of absolute solitude, inviolable by any who would dare. Even I feel a modicum of pressure before her. She radiates a pure, unblemished aura of denial. I take a deep breath, presenting the most amiable smile I can as I approach. Good evening, Miss Voymastina. Might I have a moment of your time? Her eyes open, revealing two flames that drill into me without much as a shiver, their red hue vivid beneath the garage's murky lighting. Speak. Allow me to explain. The commander wanted something to drink before bed, but I can't quite manage everything on my own. I wanted to ask you to come to the bar and assist me. Would that be okay? I know that mentioning the commander would be the only way to create a crack in that uncaring front of hers. I cannot say for certain whether the cause is her adherence to command as a soldier or if something else is mixed in, but I can be quite sure that there is special treatment involved. As I expected, she stands up after a brief moment of silence. Okay. I bring her back to the Zucchero, its premises empty in the dead of night. The warm lights cast an ambience in this corner of the world, an island disconnected from the rest of reality. I do not have her help me with anything, instead gesturing that she sit at the bar. Your goals? She cuts straight to the chase, as if already aware of the truth behind my excuse. Yes, indeed, it would be most difficult to get anything past those eyes of hers. Even so, she agreed to come, which is a positive development, regardless of whether it was curiosity or benevolence. Direct as always, Miss Voymastina. I smile, not directly answering. I produce a bottle of vodka, a can of black peppers, and an old-fashioned rocks glass with a ball of ice inside. This is one of her very few private habits that I've managed to observe thus far. I pour the spirits into the tumbler, grinding in a light touch of pepper before presenting her with it. I just wanted to treat you to a drink and have a chat. She contemplates the cup of liquor in silence for some time. She eventually takes it in her hands, downing it in one motion. About what? About anything, really. Your past combat experiences, life on the Elmo, or maybe why you shut yourself in all the time. My words are met with nothing in return, the call to adventure refused. She only drinks in silence, declining to answer. In truth, something's always been off to me. She does not respond once more. However, she is doubtlessly listening to me, and that is enough. Because something's off about you, Miss Voymastina. Rather, some things just can't be explained. You're not truly emotionless. At least as far as I can see, your bond with Miss Ava is nigh unbreakable. That being the case, why can't you get along with us? I considered many possibilities. Maybe you're too prideful and think we're just a bunch of useless weaklings not worth communicating with? No, that's not true. The others on the Elmo sometimes sortie with DeFi on missions. They would testify that you're surprisingly caring on the battlefield, even often using your own frame as cover for others who are in danger. It's just my duty. Well, if you're not emotionless or contemptuous, could it just be that you're not good at expressing yourself? That's not too far from what the commander and I thought at first, actually. That's how the incident before came to be, where we have forced you to come along for a game of the social variety. The result gave us a massive surprise, though. I examined her expression, looking for an opening or hint of anxiety. She only remained silent, tasting the heat within her glass. That's just my style. Really? I smile. A smile is a weapon more fitting for me than any bullet or blade. Perhaps Commander, Covenant, and the others will agree. But from my angle, I have a bit of a different view. What are you trying to say? She finally raises her head, looking straight into me. Her burning eyes lend her a dangerous aura, even as they pull you in with their beauty. You messed things up on purpose, didn't you? I don't know what you're talking about. That's what someone backed into a corner would say, Miss Voymastina. I top up her now empty glass. Single-minded, inflexible, imperceptive of others' feelings, most people wouldn't bat an eye if those tags were stuck onto you. But you see, it's rather easy to see into someone's heart through a role-playing game. I just happen to have a friend who's rather clumsy in the way of words. That's how I came to know what someone who actually was no good with words would do in that situation. Why did you not choose a more stable, boring mode of operation? Simply repeating, "Follow me," and only participating in combat might be boring, but no one would be able to reasonably demand more of you. You are a beginner to the game, after all, and not good at communicating with others. What you did instead was choose the more excessive and bothersome courses of action over and over again. Her eyes visibly contract. I might not be able to feel it, but I have no doubt I'm being scrutinized currently. If that was you missing the mark with your efforts while trying to actively participate, I'm sure the commander would have been happy. But that isn't the truth. I only saw you drawing the others' ire, rejecting their kindness, and filing all of it under your personal inadequacies with socializing. The commander wouldn't deny you that either, because she has always been accommodating. Well, what exactly are you scared of? Is it something troubling you? The establishment of more intimate relationships? She gazes at me coldly, like a mastiff focusing its attention on a delectable hare. You've taken enough of my time. Miss Voymastina? This reaction of hers only affirms my faith in my guesswork. I am perhaps only a single step away from touching that mass of darkness. I know that you have your own reasons. But if you ever have any troubles or worries, please don't hesitate to speak to me. Whatever it may be, I'd be happy to listen. So long as there is trust, I believe that any obstacle can be traversed. Miss Voymastina, would you trust me? Trust. Voymastina treats the commander and Miss Alva in a much different way compared to the other dolls. That's where I believe the difference lies. I might not know the reason, but Miss Voymastina is likely the type to struggle with trusting anyone else. Dude, that RPK jump scare was crazy. So, to get through to her, I'll have to take it step by step and slowly. In that instant, I discover that I have made a mistake. A very, very grave mistake. The moment those words leave my mouth, the air around Voymastina suddenly changes in a shocking manner. I don't know what exactly sets off the beast in front of me. This isn't a fury born from having one secret exposed, but an altogether different emotion. She can obviously no longer hold back her anger. With her strength, one slam is enough to pulverize the table by the bar. Miss Voyma... Shut up. No more. Not a single word. I come to an understanding in that moment. In front of me is not an isolated companion, but an angered beast intent on its next victim. I messed up. As that thought takes over my mind, a calm yet powerful voice fills the room. Stop, Voymastina. The commander has appeared in the room at some point, quickly approaching us. Voymastina seems to have returned to sanity, the murder in the air quickly dissipating like a freshly popped balloon. Sorry. Springfield, go rest. I'll handle this. But, Commander, don't worry. No matter when, the commander's voice always makes me feel at ease. I nod. Before leaving, I glance with worry again at Voymastina. She stands in place, silent and perfectly still, the spitting image of a child awaiting reprimand. The commander turns to her. Let's get some air on the deck. The frigid night air chills to the bone, blowing away the stagnant air that lingered around us from the cafe. We stand silently, looking towards the endless ocean of sand ahead. My apologies, Commander. I didn't intend to. It's fine. I wave my hand. Springfield is a very approachable person. She doesn't do what she does without being prepared for the possibilities. When one prods at others' weaknesses, one must be ready for their anger. She says as much as herself. She usually doesn't overdo it, but it looks like even she messes it up sometimes. She's incredible, though. I never thought she'd be able to get so far along by herself. If I discussed this with her from the very beginning, we probably would have found a better solution. I don't understand. I heard it from Alva. I look in her direction. Alva said that you were against looking for new members of DeFi, right? She remains silent for a moment. I can see my reflection clearly in her crimson pupils. Yes. That's what I said. Why? Because it's unnecessary. Alva and I are sufficient for most missions, and with her help. That's not the important part, is it? The real reason is that you're afraid. I don't understand. What I'm going to say next is just my guesswork. If I'm wrong, you're allowed to get mad at me, just like you did at Springfield just now. You can also beat me up if you like. I promise I will not. Voymastina, you... I hesitate trying to find the words. After significant consideration, though, I realize that no words can reveal what I'm about to suggest. I prepare to face her anger, sighing before opening my mouth. You still can't forget about RPK-16, can you? I mean... Oh, Commander! What? That was actually insane. Let's see what we got. Bared Edge 4. Voymastina falls into an extended silence as I speak straightforwardly. The night wind has gotten no warmer. I must continue, even if what I was saying was an unspeakable cruelty to the one who stood before me. I've read the archives, Voymastina. Nothing too confidential, of course, just publicly available combat records and personnel changes. Most of the details were filled in by Alva herself. Your creator bestowed upon you the expectation to be the strongest doll, and you chose to meet that expectation. You carry your assignment to perfection, becoming an efficient machine of war feared by all. Caring not for the affairs of the world, nor the minds of men, only executing your assigned missions with perfect logic. And that's why you clashed with AK-12. You embodied the ideal of the strongest doll and mightiest weapon to its logical conclusion, but your successor needed not bear the same burden. You envied her, didn't you? I don't understand. It's alright if you don't. It isn't the point of what I'm saying. The important thing is that you began to clash with 12, going as far as to have a proper duel. What was most unacceptable to you is that she actually defeated you. You were not discarded, you chose to back out yourself. Having given up so much already, what value was there left in you if you couldn't even be the finest weapon? Your head must have been full of those thoughts back then. I don't doubt that was painful. Then, RPK-16 appeared. I don't understand. In those 2 years partnered with RPK-16, you changed visibly. On the outside, you were as indestructible as always, but you softened in disposition significantly. You learned to think about others, to cooperate with them, and even how to reassure or encourage. You began to think that building up relationships might not be such a bad thing after all. Maybe you don't need to truly be an emotionless weapon. You got used to, and even began to enjoy this way of living. That was the case until 16 betrayed you. A devastating blow to all of us, to be sure. But the one who was hurt most out of everyone was, without a doubt, you. When you needed her the most, she appeared. She gained your trust and changed you with her influence. In DeFi, what she meant to you was irreplaceable. Enough. You're not without emotions, Voymastina. You just repress them. Everyone, especially Shaw, expected you to be the strongest beyond compare, so you thought that you should naturally be free of emotions. When even you yourself had gotten used to it, 12's appearance made you confused, angry, and unsure of what to do. Then 16 changed everything. Then you put all of your trust in her. Enough! Voymastina doesn't move, but the pressure emanating from her is already enough to shake me. If there existed a second human who could face down this furious metal beast without backing down, I should like to meet them. That's why it hurts. Her betrayal stripped away the trust you had for others. The pain and anger from being betrayed after opening yourself up, you began to shy away from forming new relationships, insistent on only maintaining your existing ones. If it wasn't for DeFi, who were at your side when you took revenge, you might not have even have those relationships remaining. That's why you're so opposed to finding new members. That's why you would rather be disliked than truly communicate with everyone on the Elmo. As far as I can tell, she's very close to reaching her limits. I began to seriously contemplate my chances of survival after an attack from an enraged Voymastina. However, she only glares at me unmoving. I don't understand. Her rancor blooms like a flash in the night, soon dissipating in the chill wind. Her eyes close. It's not your fault. Voymastina, it's not your fault when you're betrayed by somebody. I've been betrayed before, more than once. But I'll never let it overpower me. If you reject the possibility of new relationships just because your old ones were destroyed, you don't accomplish anything but limit your own vision. I pat her on the shoulder. Change doesn't happen overnight, and I won't force you. I just want you to think it over. Voymastina, you're stronger than you think. She doesn't give it an answer, standing in place. I don't press her any further, turning to leave the deck. On my way back to the garage, a figure emerges from the shadows to little surprise. Sorry for the trouble. You were watching? How can I simply wash my hands of something I asked for your aid with? I suppose, but I can't help but feel it'd be better for you to tell her all these things. I could never. Alva shakes her head. The same words from different people lead to different results. Both her and I are in no position to talk about the past. It just so happens that we have you to say these things, someone she trusts but is unrelated to our internal bickering. I'm not like Voymastina and her. I don't hate RBK. She still can't find it in herself to forgive RBK, but I'm certain that she has always known that what RBK did was the right thing. She just can't and won't accept it. But Voymastina, her situation is the messiest of all. She was the most influenced by it and the one with the most mental baggage. Even if one understands the facts of the situation and sees right and wrong, this isn't something that can simply be put down, is it? Yep. I am to blame as the leader here. I once thought that things would be fine like this, that there was no need to open that shared scar again. I only discovered my mistake after we came to the Elmo, and I saw Voymastina in that state. Thankfully, you're here. By the way, there's something I don't really get. Voymastina and I, truth be told, we've never had much contact. If she was always like this, why do I have her trust in the first place? You're someone Angie acknowledged, you know. The business with RPK might have stopped Voymastina from forming new relationships, but it also made her all the more appreciative of her existing ones. Angie acknowledged you, and so she unconditionally trusts you too. She thinks she would be doubting Angie if she didn't. Huh. Truth be told, I didn't know what to make of this. Don't overthink it, even if it might sound like we're making a replacement for Angie out of you. None of us actually think that way, by the way. At least, she and I know that you're someone we can trust with our ideals. Voymastina, she's a little clumsy, is all. After all, she can't even figure out what her own thoughts are on things. I do think she'll come around, though. I would hope so, considering the risks I took to say what I had to say. That's not what I meant. That's not quite what I mean, but, well, I think she should be able to manage it. Improving relations, that is. What? Alva doesn't tell me what she means, leaving me to my confusion with the, you'll see what I mean. I'm unsure how exactly that discussion influenced Voymastina, but she definitely did change. She's still often by her lonesome, with few words to say and few appearances to make, just like the Voymastina we've always known. But... Sorry, what was that? I'd like to apologize. Without being invited by anyone, Voymastina appears in the public area one day, sitting down at the bar and initiating a conversation with Springfield. I've already submitted the relevant documents to Miss Mei Ling. The replacement table and chair will be here later. No, there's no need to apologize. It was my fault in the first place. You did no wrong. The military needs people like you. I see. You're like someone I used to know, but better than her. Really? Their conversation was only the beginning. From then on, Voymastina stopped pushing away the others on the Elmo, instead communicating and engaging with the others in a natural manner. Everyone would soon discover that there were still communication issues and there were more reasons to her usual silence than just disposition, but even so, the greatest obstacles appear to have been cleared away. Miss Voymastina, could you give us some pointers on our tactical coordination here? I think there's a lot of improvements Krolik and I could still make. Very well. Your positions are too far apart. This could lead to... Hey, Voymastina, got a time for a spar? My schedule today is packed tightly, but I should be able to spare a minute. Huh? You saying I can't even last a minute? Who do you think I am? Just as everything was beginning to take a turn for the better, a confusing circumstance arose. I realized that Voymastina had begun to, consciously or not, avoid me. Voymastina, today's training reports already sent to your terminal. Alright, then tomorrow's assignments, I'll fill you in on the details. Her answers became abnormally succinct, formal to the degree of being difficult. Voymastina was getting closer and closer to the other dolls, but the way she was avoiding me could not have been any more obvious. Could it be that my words made her hate me? Things continued like this for almost a week. Every day, I saw Voymastina happily, well, not quite happily, but she was certainly communicating with the others. At the sight of me, though, she would end the conversation swiftly, leaving in a hurry. This contrast made me suspect that I cut too deep with my words that evening, to the degree of damaging her self-respect. When I would try to find an opportunity to speak with her in private, she would peel away awkwardly. I became uncomfortable, even a little anxious, but as I thought about it, if this is what it takes for Voymastina to get along with the others, this was a price I could accept. A week later. As I processed routine documents in the morning as the familiar sound of... As I processed routine documents in the morning, as the familiar sound of knocking comes from outside. I think this sentence could use without the as. Come in. I thought it would be Groza, maybe someone like Coffney or Springfield. I never imagined that it would be Voymastina walking through that door. Commander. Voymastina? Why is it you? I'm your adjutant today. Her voice is as frigid as always, but I can tell that the marked layer of detachment has disappeared. Springfield's coffee. She places the cup and saucer calmly on my desk as if nothing ever happened. Voymastina? I hesitate, not knowing how to begin the conversation. You've been avoiding me the entire week. Was it what I said that evening? She remained silent for a moment, slowly shaking her head. No, Commander. What was it then? It would take a significant amount of time to elaborate. My advice would be to attend the matter after the day's work is complete. No, what do you mean after? I can't work it all like this. Look, sit down if it's a long story. She falls silent again, but eventually takes a seat on the chair opposite mine, placing her hands neatly on her knees like a student awaiting instruction. Could you begin? Yes. Speaking in terms of conclusions, you are incorrect. I did not come to dislike you from what you said. Well, that's good. But if that's the case, why did you avoid me? You're not going to tell me I was imagining things, are you? She closes her eyes as if contemplating the topic at hand. I'm typically rather patient. On the Elmo, dolls less than adept with words, especially in front of me, are no rarity. However, as Voymastina remains silent, I can't help but begin to feel nervous. Thankfully, she doesn't remain silent for long. You are correct, as far as conclusions go. It is true that my socialization skills and emotional simulation abilities are poor. The very goals guiding my design, combined with the wolf-sized systems operating at full capacity, mean one thing. The majority of my combat computing power will always be dedicated to combat. But the questions you posed are equally valid. It is true that I am not the pristine weapon that Dr. Shaw wished to create. The variable known as emotion still exists in my neural cloud. You're incredible, Voymastina. To be able to admit this after introspection and say it out loud is admirable. Rejecting a new commander, rejecting new team members is an objectively incorrect decision, one lacking in efficiency. But I continued as such for the past decade. I never thought about the reason I made these choices, but the answer was obvious upon inspection. Emotion. Up until now, I have failed to completely understand the reasons this data was generated and the logic under which they influenced me. Voymastina's eyes remained closed the entire time. I realized that this might be her cutting off the mass computing power her eyes need, diverting them to her less developed language modules. What you said uncovered the answer I was fleeing from. A correct conclusion deserves corresponding strategizing and action. Can you let go? No. Her answer is succinct and powerful. She gathers her hands into fists. I thought as much. You wouldn't have waited until today if that was that simple. I nod, but chances were that she wouldn't have been able to see. But I see you've already made your choice. I've been paying attention to you for some time. You haven't gone out of your way to improve relationships with everyone, but you haven't intentionally avoided anyone either. That's more than good enough. I think we have better things to be concerned with than the past and future. To move forward in the present with a clear head is more important than everything else. Yeah, she hasn't avoided anyone other than me. Yes. That concludes the report on that incident. I have another matter to report on. It concerns the conclusions that I have reached upon evaluation of your actions that deviate from conventional logic in the past week. Feels like I've played the part of the subject in some study. After Angie passed, DeFi no longer had a commander. Judging from Angie's last words and past actions, we agreed as a collective that you were the only suitable successor. Based on our trust in Angie, we all acknowledged your authority and position as DeFi's new commander. I wanted to say something along the lines of, that's not the case, I'm not all that, or I'm not so sure Angie rated me so highly, but I can't bring myself to say it. Even if we both know those words would be nothing more than platitudes, I still can't get them out. I don't want to and never will stain any of the realities Angie left behind. I say nothing, simply accepting it. But after that conversation, my neural cloud came to a different conclusion. Unlike Alva and her, my direct contact with you is limited to the operations in Frankfurt 10 years ago. The majority of the time, we communicated with her as an intermediary. We have almost never spoken directly. Yeah, that's true. No matter how you look at it, we are hardly familiar with each other. This didn't impede my trust for you at all. It's just that this trust was rooted in my trust for Angie. I treated you as Angie's successor, someone she approved of. Thus, I unconditionally trusted you. Yeah, that's enough for me. But after that conversation, I came to a realization. In my neural cloud, you and Angie have become separate entities. Separate entities? You mean to say you've began to treat Angie and me as separate things? Yes. At the start, this abnormality troubled me. Even if I was willing to accept the establishment of new relationships with others, my stance on rejecting a new commander and new members have not changed. The DeFi I recognize contains only its original members. And I used to sit in Angie's position, or was simply treated as Angie. However, I became the 6th in the equation now. That is an accurate summary. And so, if I was to treat you as not a successor for Angie, but as a true new commander, would that mean that I have forgotten and betrayed Angie? Voymastina. I placed a weighty hand on her shoulder. She opens her eyes. I have never asked you to place me above Angie. Hell, I don't even need to be on the same level. I know that for you, Angelina is irreplaceable. It's the same way for me. She raises her head, a certain something I've never seen before shining in her crimson pupils. Trusting someone new doesn't mean you're forsaking your past. Deep down, Angie is well and truly irreplaceable for all of us. Yet, that doesn't stop me from accepting others who are trustworthy. 10 years ago, I lost Griffin, lost the comrades I had by my side. For a couple of years, when Mei Ling began handling logistics, I would even get her name wrong often. But now she's my trusted adjutant, not a replacement for anyone else. You don't need to be troubled over these things either. I know. Her voice gains firmness. That's why I'm here. Her eyes close again. Just as you say, I should not fix it on the past. Accepting you doesn't mean also forgetting her. Shying away from you because of her would be true betrayal. My neural cloud is not properly equipped for handling such problems. That's why it took me a span of a week to come to these conclusions. However, I am confident that it is the correct answer. Thanks, but most of the stuff I said that evening, I got from Alva. If your perspective on me changed because of that, I can't help but feel. I know. DeFi's remaining electronic and paper records would not be exact to that degree. Most of the information can only be provided by the relevant personnel. Then the origin of the information matters not. What matters is that in these 10 years, the only one to say those words to me was you, Commander. So, Commander. She stands up, opening her eyes and delivering a sharp salute. Please allow me to reintroduce myself. I am AK-15, Voymastina, member of DeFi, and the world's strongest doll. From today onwards, as a member of DeFi, I hope to be of service under your command. The sudden change in phrasing after opening her eyes made things a little awkward. I don't find the urge to laugh at her at all. I stand up with a smile on my face, returning the salute. Welcome back, Voymastina. Wow. Oh. Sheathing the sword. Alpha didn't tell me about your issues at first, having me make an attempt by myself. I suppose she wanted me to understand your problems more directly, but it looks like we've both been led around in circles by her. Alva was so easy to understand back then, but her growth these past 10 years is truly remarkable. Alva is perfectly adequate as leader. Her judgment was correct. Those things could only have been said by you, Commander. She would have kept her silence eternally, letting me deal with it myself. If AK-12 hadn't transferred the position of leader to Alva, would you observe AK-12's commands properly? I would now. What about 10 years ago? I put a hand on her arm with a smile. Goes to show that you've grown too, haven't you? Yes. Although, come to think of it, you've never once called Angie Commander before. Is there any reason you simply used her name? Recently, I learned how to discern Voymastina's emotional state from her face alone. Her eyebrow just dipped approximately 2 pixels, meaning that she was confused. Sorry, I can't answer that question. I don't know an exact answer either. To be precise, there was no particular reason. It's alright. It wasn't a question of any import. I was just curious. And even if you say there's no particular reason, that's an answer. It's just habit. Alright. About time to get to work. Could you pass me that stack of documents? Yes, Aoife. Thanks. What? She smiled at me. I raise my head with a sudden motion. Voymastina doesn't return to look at me, silently focusing on sorting out the papers on the desk below her. Alright, let's get to work. Saying the reason out loud would have been poor judgment. That day, though, I was rather invigorated in my work. That is so cute. Wow. That was extremely fun. Alright.
我把最近几次测试的数据分析整理好了，请过目。我并非质疑你的决策，但如果一定要这么做的话，请允许我为您规划更详细的执行方案。在您出发之前，请允许我最后再检查一次您的防护装备。请不要离开我太远，在我的火力覆盖范围内，就是最安全的地方。您手头的工作很多吗？请不要误会。 我并不是要帮您完成，但我可以帮您梳理出最有效率的推进方式。接下来的任务十分危险，如果您执意要亲自前往，请允许我与您同行。抱歉，我没有明白您的意思。为什么要将我们的谈话约在晚上？这会让您无法保证健康的睡眠时间。 当然，如果这是您的安排，我会准时出席。我的确说过，忤逆不需要新的指挥官。但如果这个人是您，我将为您献上我全部的忠诚。
Oh, she even says 您 the respective form of you.
我在，就只有这些吗？明智的选择，要留活口吗？
Do you need survivors?
准备就绪，引擎已激活，不用管我。我只剩下2个弹夹，只有这样吗？尽快结束吧，逃得掉吗？无用的挣扎，很意外吗？下一个，接下来的目标是，我会负起全部责任。犯罪者，开启最大输出功率。 指挥官，您理解“忤逆”这个名字的含义吗？不，我只是不明白，为什么肖博士要为人形设计这样的底层逻辑？无条件服从指令，难道不是人形最大的优点吗？毫无疑问，埃弗是个称职的队长，所以就算我有时无法理解他的用意，也会毫不犹豫地执行。 当然，我喜欢安静。不过，如果您想聊天的话，我也乐意奉陪。性能并不代表一切。想要成为最强人形，战术、效率、经验，每一样都不可或缺。忤逆小队的成员之间并不经常聊天，大概是因为只要聊起天来，就会无法避免地谈起某些人吧。少前2。 追放。您今天很准时，日程安排已经发送给您了。如果您没有异议的话，就请立刻开始处理吧。
Oh, she made a schedule for me.
让您久等了，指挥官。比起最强2代人形的虚名，我更希望您将重点放在一些实际的地方。只有这种程度吗？还可以更强。光有性能。 是远远不够的，不愧是肖博士的设计。我将为您扫清一切阻碍。
I don't see the rest of her poses. This is her drinking vodka. This is her sleeping. Oh, it's her knife. Hmm. 1,000 kilograms. How is that not going straight through the fucking bed? out of control relationship. You've arranged to meet Voymastina in the lounge. You should head over soon. Oh, she's over there. That's your speech bubble.
我把最近几次测试的数据分析整理好了，请过目。
Commander, I see you've assigned me a new mission. No, it's nothing. I just found the nature of the mission a bit unusual. However, you don't seem to have approved the funding for the mission yet. Please process the funding application when you have time. Boink. Roger that. I'll get to it right away. Hangar passage.
指挥官，
Commander. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Looking for me. How unusual. Yes. Sorry to take up your time. I'd like to discuss the grading of my previous mission. Your previous mission? I remember giving it an A.
没错，
You did. You think I graded it too low? You might be right. That assault mission was completed to an outside standard, considering... No. I believe the outcome of the mission did not deserve such a grade. I failed to retrieve the sample, which was the primary objective of the mission, and I took quite a bit of damage to my frame. The grading of a mission isn't just about its efficiency and completion. It also involves a comprehensive evaluation of the actual conditions. You ended up saving civilians within a purification zone, didn't you?
为了不影响效率，
It was to just avoid unnecessary trouble. Which is why, for the sake of fairness, I would like you to amend the mission grading to a C, which is the standard grading for all missions when the primary objective is not completed. You should not make any exceptions for me. I didn't. I just want you to understand that whether a mission objective is completed is not the only indicator of your ability.
我不明白。
I don't understand. If that's your decision, I'll try to reconfigure the evaluation system in my neural cloud to give higher priority to things that you care about. After all, it is my duty to obey your orders. You'll carry them out even if you don't fully understand the rationale?
没错，
Of course. Unlike Alpha, I'm not good at making decisions or judgment calls. My ability to get things done and follow through is one of the very few things that can be counted on. So, please make full use of that. Here we go.
Huh?
Commander, I noticed you have me assigned a new simulated training mission. Yeah, is there a problem? I just reviewed the implementation plan, but found the mission objective rather unclear. For example, here, we're supposed to be tracking down a lead, but you've set up such harsh conditions that the mission is all but impossible to complete. Moreover, you've listed many prerequisites that could justify aborting the mission, such as if any team member is under threat of destruction, or our logistical units are unable to render effective support, or... how about you see for yourself? Let's see... yeah, I did come up with these.
我不明白。
But why? From my point of view, these obstacles hardly warrant the termination of the mission. Besides, planning all these withdrawal contingencies before the mission even begins will only increase the likelihood of failure. It doesn't hurt to be prepared, but over-planning could also hinder a mission. This is not really DeFi style. I ponder Voymastina's response for a moment. In that case, what kind of condition would you consider aborting a mission?
我在思考。
I don't know. You see, that's exactly the problem. I set these conditions to help you understand that not all missions have to result in success. When faced with certain unique circumstances, I hope you can use your best judgment. If that's what you wish, I will do my best. Huh. You seem to have more to say. No, not really. Then go ahead with this simulated mission. Perhaps you'll see what I mean once this mission is over. Here we go. The mission ended in failure after all. You set me a challenge, but You could not be contacted at the most critical moment. You did pretty well after taking over command, no? Not at all. We failed to accomplish the primary mission objective and were forced to abandon the lead. Isn't that a failed mission through and through? Failed? You took the initiative to ensure the safe withdrawal of all your teammates, preventing unnecessary casualties. I don't think that's a failure at all. I was merely trying to achieve a result that you'd find desirable based on what you said last time. As a result that I'd find desirable?
没错，
Yes. I thought you'd come to that decision on your own. You sound disappointed. Voymastina, in all these years, have you ever once considered giving up a mission? A doll does not give up. So long as a single bone remains intact, we must continue our mission. Which is why the simulated mission can only be categorically classified as a failure in my neural cloud, regardless of what you think. Fine, but even if you insist, nobody says that dolls must carry out their missions with a 100% success rate.
Huh?
What? But I know what you're trying to say. I know what you want to say. All dolls are programmed to strive for that. I've heard that many times from the others. But you're a member of DeFi. Surely you know full well the significance of the name of your team. Free from the limits and constraints of your protocols, you can even defy your commander's orders if push comes to shove. Have you never considered defying my orders? Certainly not. So you are compelled only by the need to follow
没
orders?
错，
Yes. In other words, I am no more than someone who issues commands to you. Commander, why do you keep asking the same question? Is my answer not satisfactory? Why do you think it's necessary for dolls to have self-awareness? Other dolls may not have it, but as a DeFi member, you certainly do. As a weapon, self-awareness is not essential at all. In fact, it is even a hindrance in most cases. Voymastina, are you worried about something? No, having doubts and concerns is nothing to be ashamed of. If there's anything you want to say, just speak up. I've never dealt with such emotions before. Not to mention, dolls should not have such unnecessary feelings to begin with. Alright? Someday you will realize that emotions don't always have negative impacts. There must be an appropriate outlet, even behind absolute rationality.
我不明白。
I don't think I understand what you mean by that. Some food for thought. Commander, have you calmed down a little? Sorry, I should never have spoken to you in that tone no matter what. Don't sweat it. You're always so austere. Seeing a different side of you actually makes you feel more friendly. Friendly? Is that not the right word? What I mean is, I'm glad I got to know a different side of you. It makes me feel that we've genuinely established a solid relationship based on trust. Trust. I have a feeling your understanding of the word is a little skewed. But if you consider such outbursts of negative emotions a sign of trust, then I can come to me regularly to moan about things
我会服从安排。
at a frequency that will not irritate you. Never mind. That's pretty good for a first step. Huh? I see now. The mission last time, you did that deliberately? What do you mean? You deliberately set up an impossible mission to question my motivations and forced me to express emotions unbefitting for a doll. And the penny finally drops.
我不明白。
But why? You've always been one of the most outstanding dolls with the highest rates of mission completion on the board of the Elmo. But I want you to know that even missions with a 99.9 success rate have a 0.1% of failure. Here, with me, you don't need to think about mission completion as the one and only way to prove yourself. Nor do you need to treat everything as an order. I'd love to see you live up to the name of being a member of DeFi. Voymastina looks down as if trying hard to grasp the meaning of my words. After a short moment, I seem to glimpse something different in her eyes. I understand. Commander, all this time I've been treated as a doll, or tool for completing missions, and I have also taken pride in that. But you want me to behave more like a human. Only humans would prioritize trivial matters over missions and disobey orders from their commanders, and only humans would have inappropriate emotional outbursts. I see you finally get it. I don't want you to treat me as just a commander. Oh, sorry, that's Aoife, not her. I don't want you to treat me as just a commander. I'd like us to be equals who can depend on each other. Friends, even. Friends. You know, Commander, once a doll starts having emotions, she'll inevitably start developing many unbecoming, uncontrollable desires. If we do end up being friends as you hoped, I might want our relationship to go even further, and things could get out of hand. Even so, you'd find that acceptable? Yes. Huh. Then, from now on, I will try to build a relationship with you like a human. Even if you regret it, I will not stop. I am getting touched. Rest in peace.